entrepreneur, film director, choreographer, teacher, dancer, activist, podcast host. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm just exhausted thinking about all of it. It's amazing that she goes out and she's a go-getter and a doer, but she always does it with the same consistent character, which is inspiring. It's really incredible as a peer to watch a close friend, someone who you've grown up with, tackle these different challenges and do it in a way that represents her core values in such a positive way. It's really incredible.
Maggie is one of a kind. She is the perfect example of a dancer who has spent years honing her body into a fine instrument. Anyone who has seen Maggie dance has seen the immense control she has over every part of her instrument, and how she uses that instrument to take us on journeys, both athletic and emotional.
Ballet has been a constant part of my life since I was 4 years old, and for me, it was always the greatest emotional release. I found a way to express things through dance that I couldn't quite find words for as a kid, and it just created this really deep attachment for me. I was always a very physically active kid, but sports wasn't enough for me. I needed the emotional element, and I thought ballet was perfect for that. It spoke to me, and I was hooked from the first ballet I ever saw when I was 4 years old, and never fell out of love with it. So it's been my constant companion for most of my life.
Even as a student, Maggie stood out with a ballerina quality, a sense of musicality, a sense of movement, a sense of self that she brought to variations that she would learn.
Maggie and I have had a long history together here at PNB. It started with us as students. We were PDs together in the school, and then we got hired together as apprentices in 2008. And you never realize how much you're gonna get to share. Personally, we get to share weddings, and we get to share kids, and we get to share business pursuits and other passions that we go after, even while dancing. And then professionally, obviously, you get to share so much. You know, some of the highlights over the years with Maggie, she was one of the first ones to cast us together. She put us together in her ballet Lost in Light, and it premiered, I think, a month or two before we got engaged. And so getting to overlap, what's happening personally in our lives with getting to do that together was really special, and it's a memory I'll always treasure. But the biggest hole is going to be felt every day at our bar in company class for PNB.
For those of you who don't know, for a professional dancer, their bar spot is a very, very important thing. And Maggie has been a part of our bar for quite a while. She's what I call a bar buddy, B-A-R-R-E, not the same. But every morning in class, at bar, getting to chat about our weekend, laughing when we all forget the combinations, working every single day together, just starting our morning together with Maggie at the same bar, the same place, the same time.
It's a daily ritual.
Mm-hmm. It's a ritual shared with friends. So that'll certainly be something that we miss, but you will always be our bar buddy, Maggie.
Some of my favorite moments at PNB have been defined by my friends. Honestly, most of my favorite moments on stage have been because of the people I've been dancing with, and I have a couple of partners in particular that I have really close relationships with and kind of forged a special bond with performing. Ezra Thompson would be one, and Stephen Locke would be another. And dancing Emeralds was one of my favorite roles I've ever performed, and to dance it with Stephen was incredibly special, working with Violette Verde. Stephen and I have also spent a lot of time working with Stephanie Salond on our own and just developing our partnership and developing our craft together, which has been a really wonderful experience for me. And Ezra and I have just been dancing together consistently since when we first joined the company together. Since we were babies, have been forging this really wonderful partnership, and that is something I'm going to miss so much. I'm going to really, really miss dancing with Ezra. One of the last big things that we did together was A Midsummer's Night Dream, and not only Hermia, a favorite role, but also dancing that with Ezra as my Lysander, and with one of my other best friends, Emma Love Siddharth, who I also joined the company with, who was the Helena to my Hermia. That was an unforgettable experience for me. I will never forget those shows. They were just a complete joy with them, and I'm so grateful to them.
That ballet already is a joy to do. It's so much fun. The story is wonderful. Telling the story through the dancing is wonderful. The music's incredible. But getting to do it in a cast that's friends, we shared it with Ezra Thompson, who's another close friend of ours. And Josh Grant was my counterpart. And it was such a wonderful experience, getting to run after each other like this on stage. It's silly, but it's a joy. It's a pure joy to do, and it's something I'll definitely carry with me, and it was and is a highlight of my career, and getting to share it with her was very valuable and wonderful. And it's going to be strange to be in the studio without Maggie, because she's been there through my PNB. She's always been a part of it. She's always been a presence in it. And not having that will definitely be felt and definitely be noticed, and will be a change for me at PNB.
There's a whole series of solos that Maggie has done in different ballets. Those of you that have watched her will remember many of them. We saw her triumph so recently in the autumn variation in Ken Stoll's Cinderella. She enters the stage like a gust of wind, and she brings with it this sort of devouring of space that's arresting to an audience and thrilling to watch. We saw this in David Dawson's A Million Kisses to My Skin and in Price Suddarth's Signature. Maggie's much more than a virtuoso. There's a detail to her dancing that's impressive, well thought out, an intellectual approach to dancing. Her phrasing and her shaping in something like the Sugar Plum variation in the Nutcracker. Her sense of character and tradition that comes through in something like The Green Girl and Jerome Robbins' Dances at a Gathering. And something that just breaks the mold, like Crystal Pite's Emergence, the opening duet there. She has zest for finding creative energy and channeling that into fine performance.
Some of my favorite performances of Maggie's have been Crystal Pite's Emergence, Jerome Robbins' Fancy Free, and Yuri Killian's Forgotten Land. But of course, my favorite memories are of dancing together as lovers in Midsummer, Bluebirds, and Sleeping Beauty, dancing our hearts out in William Forsythe's In the Middle, Somewhat Elevated, and being choreographed on together in Place a Chill by Marco Kecki.
Other career highlights for me, definitely the Celebrate Forsyth Festival a few years ago was an incredible experience. I have been a Forsyth fan since I was in high school, and I could not believe that I was getting the opportunity to celebrate his remarkable career and talent and the unique, wonderful, giving person he is to the dance world with colleagues from PNB, some of my favorite colleagues, in fact, and two of my dearest friends, Lita Biasucci and Benjamin Griffiths. We all went on that tour together to LA, danced the incredibly challenging, vertiginous thrill of exactitude, and it just felt like this beautiful ballet family moment. Dancers from across the United States coming together to acknowledge the accomplishments of a truly extraordinary choreographer and visionary that will forever be with me. So that was a huge one for me. I've been very fortunate to have many amazing highlights that I never could have imagined, and I think the top of that would be definitely when I won my Princess Grace Award. All around, it was a wonderful experience. I couldn't believe I got to go to this incredible gala and wear a beautiful gown and be acknowledged for my talent as a dancer amongst world-class dancers and other amazing artists, and to meet the incredible Julie Andrews, and just that whole moment was amazing, and I got to share it with my husband and my mom and my ballet teacher from Tucson, Arizona, Mary Beth Kavanaugh. And I think for me it was really a huge turning point, because I tend to be very hard on myself, a lot of dancers are, and for me it was the acknowledgement of my current talent as a dancer, but also for my potential to impact the art form. And I really appreciate the faith that the foundation has put in me in that way, to feel like I could really impact this wonderful dance world that I love so much was really, really meaningful. I feel very fortunate to have shared my entire PNB career with my husband. We started dating a month before my first show as an apprentice at PNB, which was pretty crazy to think about. Time really flies. So we've been together as long as I've been with the company, and we got married 3 years ago. He has been such an incredible support system to me this entire time, my biggest cheerleader. And to have shared, some of my favorite performances with him. He always comes to all of our reps. He's a big contemporary fan, so he usually comes to those multiple times. So when I think about the incredible experience I had dancing Crystal Pite's Emergence for the first time, dancing the prologue pas de deux, that was such an incredible highlight for me as a dancer. I had 3 shows of that, and he came to all 3 shows. Not only for me, but also because he loves Crystal Pite. That, I think, has been my biggest highlight during my time here on a personal level. And really, I feel grateful to have been able to share my time as a dancer with so many wonderful friends that I've met in Seattle over the years that aren't dancers, that show up to all of my important shows and just are there for me and cheering me on and sharing what dance means to them as well. It's really beautiful to see a love of dance through the eyes of someone that isn't directly involved with it. You see how meaningful it is in an emotional way for them to have a night at the ballet and be transported. That's been beautiful for me over the years. The thing I'm most proud of over my career at PNB is the fact that I feel like I've carved out a unique niche for myself in the company. When I was younger in the company, I felt nervous about the fact that I hadn't found my thing, because I would see other people have their thing, the Turner or the really luxurious adagio dancer or the really bendy dancers, and I feel like I never really had anything super specific about my dancing that I really dove into, but it really opened up a world to huge variety in my rep. Contemporary work, ballet work, acting work, and I'm particularly proud of my acting work. I have done a lot of character roles and things like the nurse in Romeo et Juliet, which was an incredibly emotionally challenging role. I think I'm proud of finally owning that in myself. It took me a little while, and now I feel very proud looking back, and I think being more of a chameleon has given me strength in some really beautiful solos I've had a chance to do that have been created for me, especially Matthew Neenan's Bacchus was kind of one of those pin drop kind of solos. You just wait to kind of put a silence over the crowd and see if they'll come with you on this emotional and physical journey. And it always felt like they did, and I'm really proud of moments like that, and looking back, I'm proud of the dancer that I was with PNB.
One thing I am so proud of Maggie for is creating the documentary film No Dominion. I was so excited when Maggie asked me to be a part of this film, but even more proud upon the completion of the film. This is Maggie in a nutshell, an amazing force on and off the stage, a great friend, and an artist that we have not seen the last of.
She's been a huge part of my PNB career. I can't count the number of times that Maggie is dancing a really, really hard role that just exhausts her, but then you see her in the wings watching, clapping louder than the 3,000 people out in the audience for you.
Maggie's been a real asset to this company for many years. And beyond her dancing, she is really an entrepreneur. She finds projects that are fascinating to watch. Many of you know she has worked on a film that she has directed and starred in and funded, and that work will continue. I know there are many great projects ahead for Maggie. She's a fascinating person and a beautiful artist. And we commend her on her final performances for PNB, which I wish were happening on the stage, but they will happen virtually. And we wish her absolutely the best of luck as she moves forward in her journey. Thank you, Maggie.
I have been at PNB full-time since I was a PD, since I was 18 years old, and that's a long time. I never really stopped being in awe of McCaw Hall, and the feeling of being on that stage really never got less profound. I craved having the opportunity to say goodbye and to say thank you to our audience for years of incredibly generous support. I feel like I have had so many wonderful performances where I can really feel the love from audience members, and moments where I've run into audience members after shows and hearing things like, "You made me cry," and that I took them on a journey with me. So to not have a moment to take the big bow and just acknowledge that and say thank you to everyone is, that's hard. And it's hard to find the words to fully express the level of gratitude I feel for all of you, but I will try to do that here with just saying thank you, and I truly adore all of you, and I will genuinely miss you and miss being connected to you in this way. And I hope, for a long career in dance as a dancer and an artistic director someday, and hopefully I'll be able to share dance with you in other ways down the line. But thank you for being a part of my life at PNB.